All right, it's time for the Friday mailbag. If you have anything you would like to say to us, to me, you can email info@davidpakman.com. If it's praise, if it's a criticism, if it's a demand for a correction, if it's a question, a topic suggestion, a guest suggestion, any of it. And unfortunately, even if you just have insults, we can't really prevent you from sending the email either. And we are starting today with the type of insult that I have to tell you, I love this kind. I get pleasure from this because it's someone who clearly is so in a fantasy world about the size of our show that I just love this. Jeff wrote in and says, it's hilarious watching you post tinfoil hat conspiracy theories and delusional rants on your tiny YouTube channel. You're just a YouTuber. Stop pretending you're in the same league as actual journalists or opinion people. You're never going to be like Tucker Carlson. God, I hope not. Nobody likes you or respects you. Even clowns like propaganda puppet Kyle Kulinski are several rungs above you. And that's not saying much because he's a laughing stock of YouTube political commentators just like you. So Kyle sucks too, but you're even worse. So what do I love about this? We have a program that's been around 15 years. We have a larger daily audience than many corporate media shows that only get a few 100,000 viewers a day. We are in the top 0.1% of all YouTube channels. We are the second largest left-wing YouTube channel behind only the Young Turks. This is a full-time job for me and multiple employees. We've already done the thing that he says we will never actually do. And as far as I'm never going to be Tucker Carlson, that's true in two ways. Number one, I'm never going to be as immoral as Tucker Carlson. And number two, I'm never going to have the support of a multi-billion-dollar corporation behind me because I'm happy doing it this way. I don't want to do it that way. So Jeff, you know what? You're right. And I'm so happy that some of the things you're saying are true, although many of them are not. Next email is from Dave. Dave says, question, Hannity supports a candidate on his show, meaning Hannity supported Mehmet Oz in the Pennsylvania Republican Senate primary. It used to be that if a station gave advertising or airtime to one candidate over another candidate, it had value. That value counted as a campaign contribution. I wonder if the FEC would look at this as a contribution to certain candidates and it then be deemed an illegal contribution if that value went over the dollar amount set by law, or would they see it as within the rules of what constitutes a donation or a political contribution? Dave is right that when Hannity has a platform, the size of his platform, and he says, I support Oz, for example, and remember, he supported Trump too, so it would apply there as well. Every time that he supports Oz or attacks other people, like Hannity would attack Kathy Barnett, another candidate running in that primary, that has a monetary value. Exactly what it is would have to be figured out. But there's no doubt that that has a monetary value. In terms of the FEC and it being considered a contribution, I don't know. But there's also the aspect of equal time laws. And I don't know to what degree those are being enforced. And honestly, I don't know at this point even where they necessarily apply. But there was a time, and when we started on the radio, we were conscious of this, particularly in local elections. When we were up in Massachusetts, that's where the show started. And we would interview local candidates. We would kind of be told, you've got to at least offer everybody in this race the opportunity to be interviewed. They won't all take you up on it, but you've got to give them that opportunity. So needless to say, aside from the legality of it, the kind of like unquestioning, just kind of like, yeah, I guess it's fine. Hannity tells us who he likes. And it's just, he's supporting one candidate over another. And everybody just goes along their merry business as if there's no monetary value or influence from that. It is weird. I don't know whether the FEC angle you're going to get too far with necessarily. Next email is from Quinn. Quinn wrote in about Liz Cheney. Quinn says, David, I wanted to talk more about the Liz Cheney segment you did the other day. As a Democrat, I feel like it's unfair to say she isn't an ally. I understand she's one of the people who enabled Trump until January 6th, but since then, she's put her career in jeopardy by being one of the only Republicans with a moral red line. It would have been great after January 6th for Republicans to have an epiphany, and become civil rights advocating, police reforming, marijuana legalizing socialists. But just because she didn't do a 180 in her values doesn't, or at least shouldn't, mean she's not an ally in this particular fight for accountability. That said, if she really isn't an ally, are there any elected Republicans you think would be? Thanks for hearing me out. This is fine. I mean, listen, Quinn, when I say Liz Cheney isn't an ally, I mean she's not going to fight with us for any policy issue on our side. It's not policy to say, hey, the results of the election are what they are. That's not policy. So I understand, using this very specific line, she's an ally in this particular fight for accountability. This isn't even really a fight. It's just, we have an election and Biden won. There was a riot incited and there should be consequences. But the point I'm making is she's not a political ally on issues of policy and substance. And I stand behind that while acknowledging she is on the side of reason when it comes to just like the law is what it is. It should be enforced. Elections have consequences and they're real. I hope that sort of clarifies, Quinn. Ryan wrote in about debating, quote, gun nuts. David, sir, was wondering what your thoughts were on how to approach a conversation with a gun nut. When they have the argument, well, if someone had a gun, they could have stopped them for all of these mass shootings. We know that argument is garbage, but just wondering if you had any tactics on how to handle that. Okay, so there's a couple different things that are important to bring up in those situations. First of all, in many of these mass shooting scenarios, you only have to think it through to realize additional guns would accomplish nothing. For example, the Aurora movie theater shooting in Colorado years ago, a shooting in a dark movie theater. It doesn't take much of an imagination to understand how adding more guns in a dark room so that there's more shooting, maybe at the real shooter or maybe not, and then potentially causing, imagine that you're the third guy with a gun and you come in and you just see two people shooting at each other. How do you know which is the bad guy with the gun and which is the good guy with? It's absolute and total chaos. That's number one. Number two, there are numerous examples of mass shootings where we later found out there were other people with firearms there and they didn't act because of exactly what I'm saying. It was so chaotic. These things happened so quickly that it didn't actually make a difference. Now, the counterpoint is you occasionally hear about a gun actually used defensively to stop a situation, and that's absolutely and totally fine. But the bigger, more common, more prevalent scenario is that more guns actually add more chaos. And overall, limiting the number of guns that are floating around would have a much stronger impact on reducing gun crime and gun mortality than simply adding more guns to situation. It's just the way history bears it out. Ramon wrote in about a famine and says, David, in having conversations with my family, there seems to be a consensus that an overall food shortage is coming soon. I'm a new parent, and as many others, my baby is affected by the formula shortage already as it stands. I know you've spoken about this in the past. Can you revisit? Many thanks. Love what you do. The latest I've read is that over the next 4 to 6 months, there may be a shortage of specific products, but there is not going to be a shortage of any general food group or nutritional source. And so what I mean by that is, is it possible, and I've talked about this before, is it possible that one type of chicken might not be available in your local store? Yeah, that's possible. But is there going to be no chicken or no suitable alternative like turkey or beef or whatever the case may be? I've not read that that's really a concern. Recently, you all know I love my Sumo oranges. This is arguably one of the top fruits in the history of the world. I would die on that hill, okay? The Sumo oranges, they're just gone. They come to me, they say, sir, we can't get them. And so I'm instead getting a super sweet navel orange. Now, it might just be, honestly, it might just be seasonality. Maybe this is not a time of year when the Sumos are available. But the point is, citrus is available. The exact type of orange I want is not currently available, and it just might be a seasonal thing. So My expectation, Ramon, and I don't have independent knowledge on this, I'm going from the reporting I've read, is there may be a shortage of particular products, but that no food group or a nutritional source, like, for example, dairy, meat, vegetables, fruits, crackers, etc., not expecting to see a shortage there. If the reality on the ground changes, of course, we will tell you. Evan wrote in about being tough on crime. David, why don't Democrats run on a tough on crime platform by promising gun control? It's baffling that the party who says they're tough on crime, Republicans, is also the one unwilling to do anything to crack down on guns. Yeah, I understand the logic of it, right? Which is, hey, Republicans say they're tough on crime, but they want more guns in more places and absolutely no regulations. We are actually tough on crime, we the left, because we will make it more difficult to obtain guns and then commit crimes with them. It makes absolutely perfect sense. The right will diffuse those talking points easily by saying actually guns make us safer. If we don't have guns to defend ourselves with, only the criminals will have guns. They have experience with these talking points, Evan. So what you're saying makes sense, but they will be ready for it. Mason wrote in about the Buffalo shooting and my view on the death penalty. Mason says, hey, David, I saw a show not too long ago where you said you don't believe in the death penalty. I like to say I don't support it. You don't believe in the death penalty because the justice system makes mistakes, and those mistakes cannot be corrected once someone is put to death. I was wondering if your opinion would change based on the facts of the current shooting at the Buffalo store. We have video evidence that this kid murdered innocent people, as well as a 100-plus page manifesto with his motives. Do you think it's still a better option to let the kid live the rest of his life in prison? I do. First of all, let's just start first with what's the worst punishment. Based on my beliefs about what happens when we die, I believe if you put the kid to death, and I shouldn't even be saying the kid. We're talking about an adult here who did something absolutely horrifying. When you put this 18-year-old to death, lights go out and that's it. Doesn't have to live for decades with what he did sitting in a prison cell. So if you ask me, what's the harsher punishment? It's, oh, you're 18. The rest of your life, whether it be 60, 70, 80 more years, you're going to do nothing. You're going to sit in a prison cell and that's it. It's over for you. That to me is the harsher penalty. So number one, if we just start with what's the harsher penalty, I would go there. And then beyond that, all of my same opposition to the death penalty stands. The government shouldn't be in the business of putting people to death. Yes, he arguably has given up his right to live freely in the world. Okay, well, take it away by putting him in a prison cell for life. Don't take it away by saying, well, we'll also do some killing. And then there's all the other arguments that are made. So no, Mason, even in this case, I am not for the death penalty. Couple bonus ones from YouTube. Droned on YouTube said, David calls himself an independent reporter. No, I don't. I'm not a reporter. I'm a commentator. So funny. He doesn't even know if he identifies as a guy or a girl. Give me a break. No, I identify as a guy. Very confused viewer. Also, one other from Droned who says, this Pakman is a joke. I cannot wait till this economy is in World War III and see what third gender he wants to talk about. I don't talk about we barely talk about gender on the show. And I also, while I don't make economic predictions typically, my expectation is inflation has peaked and will start to decline, and that we are getting closer to the stock market bottom. Now, obviously, that's kind of meaningless. We're always one day closer to the bottom, even if we're not there yet. But I don't even know what this person's talking about. And lastly, Claude wrote in, this Pakman guy is just a mouthpiece for the Biden gang. What a joke. Imagine how much education was wasted to create this propagandist liar. The one thing I don't think you can say about this show is that we're mouthpieces for the Biden gang. In fact, I find Biden pretty uninspiring, and he's done, 3 or 4 good things and is otherwise exactly what I expected his administration to be. So maybe you're thinking of another show, Claude, with respect. Send in your emails to info@davidpakman.com. We have a great bonus show for you today. Sign up at joinpakman.com to get instant access.